Hi, it's William Farmer, Business, the Art of Winning. And our subject today is making your ideas clear, sponsored by our High Impact Presentations program, which will be run here in sunny Brisbane on the 2nd and the 3rd of December 2021. It's our last program for the year. Hanging out for Christmas. I'm sure you are too. And so I wanted to chat a little bit about in business, we actually have to make our ideas clear. If you ever had a conversation with someone that's just gone on and on and on and on, and your eyes are starting to glaze over, and you're going, man, I know there's a point. And sometimes people are having a conversation with me or you and thinking, I hope there's a point to this. And one of the great things about Dale Carnegie training and Dale Carnegie himself, he realized that unless people could get their message across to the point and then be digested by the other person, what was the point of being a communicator in the first place? So we talk about this in a lot of our programs. Why do we communicate? So a lot of the time we communicate to inform, we communicate to inspire, we communicate to entertain. And so we need to look at our audience. Who is our audience and what are we trying to achieve? So one of the things that I remember my first communication when I was a young entrepreneur, younger, it was to go to the bank manager. And I remember asking for my first loan. I had this great idea, this business that I wanted to invest in. And it was very much, 80s, 90s. So you actually had to, dress up. You had to wear a nice suit, and you didn't have to, but it was a good idea. And so I was sitting there in front of Craig, and I remember Craig. He was he was older than me, obviously. He was about 30 years older than me, and he looked over my proposal, and I realized I wasn't communicating as clearly as I needed to. I wasn't giving him the benefits of why he should invest in this particular idea and concept. And he walked away and said, look, I love your enthusiasm, but we're not going to invest today. So look, not just in groups, but one-on-one communication. It's important to have a bit of a strategy and identify our audience, whether it's one person who's going to lend you money, in my case, whether it's a group of people that you're going to convince to hire your fantastic talent and skills. Or whether it's a board of directors that you're trying to encourage to change or shift the direction for the betterment of the business. We all have to learn how to make our ideas clear so that we can get our ideas across, digested, and then actioned if that's what your goal is. Sometimes if it's just to inform, you don't need any action. If it's to entertain, maybe no action. But if it's to inspire, then we are inspiring people carefully to be able to consider your ideas and then do something with your ideas. It's funny because it's the same in personal relationships as it is in business relationships. Typically, we have those three things. Like my kids will come up to me and maybe ask me about something that's technical or something around business or something around life. And I don't need an outcome with that type of communication. It's just information. I'm trying to inform them. Other times it's maybe they're talking about family and stories, and we're just entertaining each other. So that's one of the things I particularly like about my kids, Michaela, my oldest daughter. Her and I tend to have a good laugh about things in regards to some of the stories, and that we remember we're entertaining each other. With my son at the moment, he's 15, going on 25. I'm trying to inspire him in different directions. He's a muso, loves music. He's very talented at that area. One of the key areas that I'm trying to work with Liam is just helping him to complete things. So he'll get caught up in a song and really master a couple of, bars of that and enjoy it, really get it right, but he doesn't complete the song. And so as a dad who knows that completion is incredibly important no matter what you do, I'm trying to inspire him to get completion. So what is a technique that Dale Carnegie has used for many, many years? And I've spoken about it in another podcast. So this is more relevant around presentation skills. It's called evidence, action, and benefit. So evidence defeats doubt. So evidence is where we've got something substantial that backs up our story. So my bank manager, he wanted a plan, he wanted equity, he wanted ROI before he could give that tick. And I didn't have enough evidence. I had a lot of enthusiasm, but I just didn't have the evidence that he particularly wanted at that particular time. It's okay though. I went to another bank. I learned from that bank manager, and I won the deal or won the debt. Always depends on what I went to an auction recently and I won the auction. Oh, really? That means I paid more than anyone else. That's all down to perspective, right? And so you have to think about, well, who's my audience? What's the evidence that's relevant to my audience? In past podcasts, I've highlighted Dale Carnegie's famous work where he talks about our experience. No one can dispute how you see the world and what happened to you. And so we will use incident or experience. But sometimes we need to probably use data or statistics where we've collated a lot of information and there's maybe even an algorithm or bandwidth of information that we can present that comes across as a logical consideration. The one that we use in Dale Carnegie a lot is an engaged employee is 240% more effective than someone who's just ambivalent or what we call partially engaged. So those statistics are measured by companies that we use, Gallup, Hay Group, and a few other connects. So those statistics might help. Some people don't like statistics. I was talking to a client who's in the pharmaceutical industry, and he goes, "Oh, well, don't blow me away with statistics. We're inundated with it, and quite frankly, it can be a bit of a blur." So again, think about who your audience is and talk in terms of the other person's interest, not just your own interest. So other people, I use analogies a lot. An analogy for Dale Carnegie is imagine that you've got a Ferrari. It's 2021 midnight black. It's still got the gear shift. It's not on the automatic stage because it's a Ferrari. Why would you do that anyway? And so you put it in first gear, and you start driving your Ferrari around town, and you never put it in the second gear, third gear, fourth gear, or fifth gear. That would be a shame, especially for the cost of the Ferrari. You're not utilizing that machinery to its maximum potential, are you? You know what? That's what we do with some people that we hire. We put them in the first gear, and we don't realize there's a second, third, fourth, fifth, and overdrive. And so when we don't train people, we don't tap into their full potential. And it's exactly like a Ferrari. So there's an analogy. So it's breaking complex information down and making it simple. Sometimes it's a demonstration. You can actually do a demonstration that will allow people to see the evidence that you're trying to convey. And one of the other key things is making sure that once you've displayed that evidence, use a call to action. You can do it in several ways. You can make it as advice. Hey, so here's the advice that I'd like to give you. Or you could say, hey, here's the action I would like you to take. Or here's something that you need to consider that I would like you maybe to think deeply about. But you've got to move people to action if you're trying to inspire them. I also think if you're trying to entertain, like if you've done such a great job entertaining, let them know what you want them to do. And then the payoff. So what's the relevancy, or the payback if I take that advice? And what's in it for me? So most people want to know what's in it for me. But, so often as communicators, we break those rules. We just talk in terms of our own interest. And we start to even get passionate about what we're trying to present. But the other person is not engaged. We're not looking at their body language. We're not looking at whether they're connecting or not. We haven't even thought about whether it's relevant. So when we're talking about making our ideas clear, consider that famous magic formula that Dale Carnegie uses globally, which is evidence, action, and benefit. The other one is making sure that you can break things down logically when we're moving into the body of our communication. So if it's a very high value or it's a really substantial idea that we need to make clear, one of the things you could consider is just advantages and disadvantages. Hey, the advantage of doing this is XYZ, XYZ, XYZ. Obviously, it's really lush. And the disadvantages is XYZ, XYZ, only not so lush. Obviously, the advantages outweigh the disadvantages. So therefore, I think we should move ahead with that particular approach. So again, just to recap, it's thinking about what is your body. And before we even get into the body, we should also consider a hook. What hooks people into our conversation? So one of the things that we teach is just to get straight into an incident, which is a duration of time of 2 minutes to 10 minutes. Any longer than that, you're probably in the event stage. So you have to think bite. What is a bite that I can actually impact my audience with immediately? And so the first thing is the opening. So what is an opening or a hook that I can grab people's attention? So one that I've used in some seminars, it's not particularly great, but I do like it because it does grab people's attention. And it might be a fish rots at the head, right? And so does bad leadership. So if we don't learn to be a good leader, so the fish rots at the head first, and so does good leadership. So when good leaders start to get too complacent or create silos or don't connect, it can have a huge effect on the body because the head is not working as effectively as it can. So another one might be an education open. Have you ever considered what it would be like to double our business in 12 months? Okay, so there's a question mark to that. There's obviously a benefit anchoring in. It's just to grab this people's attention. And you can do it for any conversation. And if you think about movies, when movies are opening, they always have that, hook, that opening, that trailer, 65% Rotten Tomatoes or whatever it is, that grabs you in. So why wouldn't it be any different for us when we're trying to make our ideas clear, especially if we're trying to move people to some form of action? So maybe just open with something that grabs people's attention, move your body, which could be experience, evidence defeats doubt. In other words, facts, analogies, statistics, demonstrations. Create some strong evidence, your personal story, people can't dispute that. And then also look at other things like data or advantages and disadvantages in the body. Then we've got to inspire people. What is the action that you want people to take, and why is that really important to them? Why is that really relevant to them? Also, the last thing that you may want to consider is to recap your close. So as I've always said, the fish rots at the head first, and so does bad leadership. So if we want to be able to change the direction of the organization, my suggestion is X, Y, Z. And so you can actually open with your startling statement or creative statement, and you can actually close with your startling statement or closing statement. I call it SOCO, single overriding communication objective. And so what is the absolute single riding over communication objective? And why do we play that? Because the mind thinks in pictures, but it also likes repetition. And that's why ads, you'll see them using repetition all the time, because it really anchors in the mind of the other person. So that's making your ideas clear. Look, we've given you the knowledge, but we all know that knowledge isn't power. It's application, right? And if you want to create an experience where this fantastic filter, your body, your mind, your words, need to make an impact, a high impact in communication for your business to keep on winning, then I would really recommend two programs. The first one is our DNA program, the Dale Carnegie course. The Dale Carnegie course has been around for 110 years now, well over 9 million graduates globally. And why would people want to do that program? Because it's a template. It has something in its DNA that intrinsically helps us to be more relatable. And if you want to polish that area up, you're a person who needs to be able to communicate with complete impact, that would be our high impact presentations program, which is a two-day program. So if you're listening to me somewhere in the world and there's bound to be an office close to you, why don't you consider those two programs? So make your ideas clear, know your audience, okay, create an opening, work on your body, ask people to move, and then close. Make sure that close is anchored in, and you will make your ideas clear. I'm William Farmer, Managing Director for Dale Carnegie Australia. It's been great working with you today. Thank you for your time. Take care.